Hi everyone, it's Lisa Mears, and I'm here today bringing you 14 cards that I made using Simple Stories Feelin Frosty collection. So here's a look at some of the cards. I will be making 14 cards using the paper pad and the ephemera. I'll also be bringing in a few of the foam stickers. So let's go ahead and take a look at the products that I purchased. So here is a look at the products in this video. So the Simple Stories paper pads, they are 6x8 paper pads, which makes them a very nice size if you want to do larger cards like Slimline or 5x7. I also picked up the foam stickers, and these are fairly large stickers. I didn't use a whole lot of these in my video, but I did use a few of them. And I also picked up the pack of the bits and pieces. There are 59 pieces in this pack of ephemera. So let's go ahead and take a look at the paper pad. So you get two of every design that you see. So this one is Hello Winter, and there are designs on the front and the back. On the back of that you have some snowflakes. Here's a sheet with a bunch of different winter words like Let It Snow and Burr. You get a sheet of colorful hearts. And then on the opposite is a sheet of 3 snowmen. These are fairly large snowmen. I actually fussy cut one of them out and used it on one of my cards. Here's a little winter scene. There's some more snowmen. There's a nice wood grain piece of pattern paper. There's plaid and another scene. There's some trees and some mugs. So those could be like hot chocolate or coffee mugs. And here's a sheet that says, like snowflakes, we're all beautiful in our own way. And those full sheets like that, a lot of times you can use those on a card front, which you'll see that I've done in this video. Here are some 3x4 cut apart sheets. Love you snow much, love you very much, your snow fun. And then here's another sheet of the 3x4 cut aparts. Keep warm and snuggle up, snow fun, snowflakes and smiles, and you're a moosing. Okay, so then it starts back over and you get 2 of each one of those designs. Here's a look at the foam stickers. There are front and back. They are fairly large sentiments. They would also be perfect for a scrapbook or an album. So you can see what those look like. And then here are the bits and pieces, also known as the ephemera. So this is what I love about these collection packs, and I love it when companies include so many cute ephemera pieces that you can make fun little scenes. So you can see all the different winter pieces. There are snowmen, there's some trees, several different trees, sizes of those and colors of those trees. And then here is a truck, here's a sled, and you can see all the different pieces there. Now I will have links to all of these products down in the description box, so if you're interested in purchasing any of this, head on down to the description box and take a look at those links. Now I've had many of you ask me in the past, how do you decide which ephemera pieces you're going to use on your cards and how do you sort through it and all of that stuff. So here is my method of sorting through my ephemera. Basically, I have these little clear bowls, and after I lay all my ephemera out, I start to sort it by, first I'm just taking out all of the words. So I put all of the words in one bowl, and then I will set that aside. So they can either be words for sentiments or just any type of words that are in those pieces. And then now I'm going to take another bowl, and I'm actually going to take all of the little flowers and the hearts, so anything that can be used as like an accent piece. Not necessarily to build up a scene, but just little accents. So these are just all the little hearts and the leaves and the flowers. They're going to go in a separate bowl. That way when I'm building my card, if I want to add any accents, I can just reach for them out of that bowl. So here I'm just throwing in some snowflakes as well, because they're all included in just the little accent pieces. Now since there are several of the trees, I go ahead and just make a bowl of the trees as well. So there's like 4, maybe 5, I guess there's 4 trees. I go ahead and put those in a separate bowl, so that way if I want to add any trees, I know where those are. I'm going to throw this heart in with the accent pieces, and here's another tree. I'm going to go ahead and pop that in the tree bowl. That leaves me with actually all of the bigger ephemera pieces that I can build my scenes with. So this ephemera pack is actually smaller than a lot of the ephemera packs that I've worked with in the past, so I don't have a whole lot left. So I'm just going to start building some scenes, and keep in mind that this can definitely change. This is just my very beginning thought process. So I'm just kind of putting together some scenes. I've got a snowman with some skis and the poles. I've got another snowman on a sled, and he has a little hot chocolate in his hand or coffee. And then I have some winter accessories like the sweater and the skates and another hot chocolate. So just grouping them ways that I can see them working well together. And once I have all of that larger ephemera in little piles, and again, keep in mind this may change. In fact, as I'm watching this, I see some things that I did make some changes on later on. I just put them in little bowls or set them aside so I know which ones I want to put together. Okay, so moving on, I'm taking these 2 sheets of cut-aparts out. There are 4 sheets because remember, you get 2 of each one, but I'm only taking the 2 sheets, and I'm going to go ahead and cut these apart using my paper trimmer. So these measure 3 by 4 inches, and I will be using these on my cards. Okay, so let's go ahead and start making our first card. So I'm going to be using a few card sketches on some of the cards, and for this one I'm using the Sweet Sunday Sketch 228. I will have in my blog at lisamearsdesigns.com, I will have all of these card sketches on there as well as card measurements. So if you want to duplicate any of these cards, you can hop on over there and check that out. Okay, so I have that tree paper in the background that's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. That polka dot paper, I have that measures 1 7/8 by 5 3/8, and the snowflake paper is 4 1/8 by 2 3/4. So go ahead and layer all those together, and then I have a 3.5 inch stitch circle I cut out of some white cardstock. And I'm going to go ahead and layer on these winter accessories. So I have the sweater, the skates, and the hot chocolate. Those fit perfectly inside of a 3.5 inch circle. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to the card front. And I'm also going to add the warm and cozy there towards the bottom. I also added a little pink flower accent piece to the left of the sentiment, and then I added that to an A2 size pink card base. Next, I'm going to take some white pops of color from scrapbook.com and just add those to the center of the flower for some added dimension, and that completes my first card. For my next card, I'm using the OWH sketch number 2. Measurements are a little bit different than what the sketch shows, but nevertheless the layout is very similar. So I have this tree paper that's cut to 3 by 4. I layer that onto a piece of solid pink cardstock that's 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. Then that snowflake paper in the background is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and that wood grain paper is 2 by 5 3/8. So I'm just layering everything up, and then I'm going to build my little scene. So here's the snowman with the sleigh, and I have the little coffee cup. I decided to bring in the sentiment, let it snow. I am going to tuck a tree in the back of that snowman. And I'm also going to be bringing in a purple flower. I think that purple flower will complement the purple in the Let It Snow sentiment. I will also be adding that sentiment on some double-sided adhesive foam tape. And then I'll add that to a pink A2 size card base. And that completes that card. I would love to know if any of you actually send out winter cards. So I know that it is after the Christmas season, but we're still in the winter season. Do you actually send out winter cards? I think that these winter cards would be perfect if somebody actually had a birthday during the winter season. You can actually add a happy birthday sentiment to the front or to the inside of these cards, and they would be super cute to send out during the winter. So here I'm making a slimline card. I cut this panel down to 2 7/8 by 7 7/8. And I also cut out some white snowy borders This is the Sunny Studio Nature Border die. I cut out 2 of those and added those towards the bottom of that card panel. You can see that I added the house. I wanted it to look like there was snow at the bottom of this scene, and then above the snow you have all the houses and the trees and the snow in the background. So I did add the larger house. I'm going to add some of these trees behind this moose, and I'm going to add the moose towards the bottom. So I go ahead and tuck those trees there behind the bottom border of snow. I add that snow border. I'm just going to turn that panel over and cut off the extra cardstock that extends beyond the left and right side. And then I'm going to go ahead and add that to, I die cut a scalloped border. It's a slimline border die out of the pink cardstock. This is a Trinity stamps die. Again, I'll have all the links to these products, these extra products that I use down in my description box if you're interested. So I go ahead and add the moose there to the bottom. So I think it's such a cute scene. You can see the little trees peeking behind the moose, and then all the cute little houses up there on the top. And then I added the sentiment with some foam tape behind it. I am using the Mojo Monday Sketch 408. Now the sketch is actually for a slimline card or a mini slimline card, and I'm not making a slimline card. I'm actually making an A2 size card that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm just using the same similar layout and then just creating my own measurements to modify that a little bit. So I have my 3 by 4 card, Love You Snow Much. I added that to a pink cardstock layer that measures 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. Here I have some striped paper that's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then I added the snowflake paper towards the bottom. That snowflake paper is 4 1/8 by 2 3/4. So just adding those layers on, and then I'm going to add a few of the ephemera pieces. I have this little wood grain piece with the heart, and I have the bear. I'm going to add those 2 together. I'm going to add that to a pink A2 size card base, and that completes that card. For my next card, I'm going to be using the OWH sketch number 44. So I have the plaid piece in the background that's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I'm going to add this pink strip, and this pink strip is 2 1/4 by 5 3/8. I'm just going to add it right down the middle of the plaid piece. And then I'm going to add the snowflake paper that's 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, and I'm going to add that right on top of the pink piece, right in the center of that card layer. And now I'm going to go ahead and take my snowman and the skis. I'm going to go ahead and start positioning all of these pieces how I want them. Now this is a little bit different than how I envisioned it at the beginning of the video. I'm actually bringing in the scarf and the mittens to this little scene. I thought it would be cute to add those 2 pieces as well as with the snowman. So I'm going to go ahead and glue my snowman down right on top of those skis, and then I'm going to put these poles here a little bit crisscross on the side, and then I'll go ahead and add the scarf and the mittens, and I'm going to bring in a flower and put it in the center of the crisscross poles, and then I'm going to add the sentiment burr up there at the top and add that to an A2 size pink card base, and that completes that card. For my next card, I will not be using a card sketch, but I am using one of the 3 by 4 cut aparts, I Love You Very Much, and I add that to a pink solid piece of cardstock that's 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. And then I have this strip of pink pattern paper that measures 4 1/8 by 1 7/8. I'm adding that across that wood grain paper with the hearts. I think that's such a pretty design, and that is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then I'm just going to add some of these heart ephemera pieces right on top of that 3 by 4 cut apart, and then I'll add that to an A2 size pink card base, and that will complete this card. Next, I'm making a mini slimline shaped card. So the large piece of plaid paper is 3 3/8 by 5 7/8, and then I'm adding that tree paper on top of that, and that is 3 by 5 1/2 inches. And then I'm using the little snow globe ephemera piece, and I added that to a piece of wood grain pattern paper that measures 2 and 2 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and glue down the sentiment Let It Snow. And then once that's glued down, I will go ahead and glue down the snow globe at the top of that card layer. I'm going to be bringing in some of the small snowflake ephemera pieces, and I will glue those down as well. I'm going to add a little flower there to the snow globe. Next, I add that entire layer to a mini Slimline pink card base that measures 3.5 inches by 6 inches, and then I'm going to use my white pops of color and just add a little bit of white in the center of those snowflakes. For my next card, I'm going to use Paper Play sketch number 48. And I am going to be using a 3x4 cut apart, keep warm and snuggle up. And then I'm using the back side of the Snow Fun cut apart because I like that pattern paper and it's cut to the exact size that I need. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those down onto that polka dot pattern paper, and that polka dot pattern paper is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and again each of those cut aparts are 3x4. And then I'm just going to add the scarf at the bottom left hand corner, and then I'm going to add a large snowflake right on top in the center. And then I'm going to add that layer to a pink A2 size card base. You can see the back of that pattern paper had those 3 larger snowmen on it. I'm going to save the extra piece that I did not use, which had 1 snowman, and I'm going to fussy cut that a little bit later to use on a card. So here I'm just taking one of the foam stickers. It's a small green heart, and I pop that right in the center of that snowflake, and that completes that card. For my next card, I have this large piece of polka dot paper. That one measures 5 3/8 by 1 1/8, and then this striped paper is 5 3/8 by 1 5/8, and then I have that strip of wood grain paper that's 1/4 by 5 3/8. So I just put the wood grain paper slightly underneath that strip of with the stripes on it and glue that down, and then I'm going to put that entire layer at the bottom of the pink polka dot paper. Next, I'll go ahead and add my ephemera pieces. So I'm going to use the large word winter, and I'm going to add that on the striped part, and then I'm going to add the truck right above that. And I'm also going to take out a stamp that says hello. This is from a stamp set from Altenew. It's the Sentiment Strips 1. So I stamp out the word hello at the top of the card, and then I'm going to add some snowflakes around that. And I'm going to add this to an A2 size pink card base, and that completes that card. So here's another cut apart that I'm using your moosing, and again I'm just going to take that and add it at a diagonal onto this heart pattern paper that measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I have this strip that's 6 inches by 1/2 inch, and I'm actually going to snip off the edges there. So I just put that at the bottom portion of that cut apart. I'm going to add this banner at the top of the card. Because the banner is extending beyond that card layer, I'm just going to snip off the edges there. I'm going to add a heart towards the bottom left hand corner, and then I'll add that to an A2 size pink card base. And I'm going to give this heart some dimension and take out a heart foam sticker. It's identical to the ephemera piece, and just pop it right there on top. And that completes that card. For my next card, I wanted to show you how you can take the beautiful pattern paper to make a card. So I'm taking this piece of pattern paper and I just die cut it with a die. This is going to be for a 5x7 card. I'm actually using a die set from the Stamps of Life that has a 5x7 card base, which I die cut this out of the teal cardstock, and then there were 2 layering dies. So one of the layering dies I die cut out of the pink, and then the other smaller layering die I die cut out of the pattern paper. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold at the score to make my card base, and then I'm going to layer up the sentiment piece on top of the pink paper. Next, I'm going to take that layer and add it to the card base. And this card is beautiful just the way it is, but I'm just going to add a little bit of the pops of color from scrapbook.com to the top of the card. So I'll be using the pink, the seafoam, bubblegum, and ocean waves. And for all of the white dots that are already on that card, I'm going to add the white pops of color. going to do the same thing with the pink dots. And the pops of color, they just add dimension, okay? So they're wet when they go on, but if you let your card just sit and dry for a little while after you add them, then they will dry hard. And they look just like enamel dots. So they dry hard on your card, and I also suggest that you do this last after you've added the card base. Otherwise, you have potential to smear them. So now my card is complete. I have that really pretty dimension on the flowers, and I'm just going to set this aside to let it dry. So for my next card, I'm doing the same thing with the same die set, using the 5x7 die set. Here I'm using this fun pattern paper with this scene on it. It really has everything that I need to make a nice scene card. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the die where I want it and die cut that out. And then once that comes out of the die cut machine, I have my layer for my card. And then I also die cut those two other layers. I have the pink layer, and then the other one is a card base that I use that same die to die cut. So I'm just layering those together. And look how cute that scene is. So now if you wanted to, you can just add a sentiment. I'm actually going to add the Snow Much Fun from the foam sticker. I'm going to add that at the bottom. And I'm going to add some of these small snowflakes to the front of the card. And then I'm going to also take some of the white pops of color, and I'm going to color in all of these snowdrops on the top of my card. I'm also going to add them to the trees, and then that's going to complete my card. So I'm going to let that sit and dry for a little while. And in the meantime, I'm going to move on to my next card. So here is where I'm going to take the leftover piece of paper from a previous card. This was the one that had the white polka dots that represent the snow on the blue background. I'm just going to fussy cut out my snowman. I'm using some mini scissors from scrapbook.com. They're perfect for fussy cutting out intricate spaces. So I'm using this scene pattern paper. I cut down to 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and I have this snowflake paper that I cut with a snow border die. So that's what it's going to represent here, is a snow border. And I'm just going to trim off the excess there so that I have my snow border at the bottom of that card layer. And I'm just going to layer up some of these ephemera pieces. So there's my snowman that I fussy cut out of the paper. I'm going to add some Christmas trees and the logs. And then I'm going to use this Joy foam sticker. I thought the color matched perfectly, and then I'm going to add that to an A2 size card base. For my next card, I'm using OWH sketch number 33. And I have my 3x4 card. However, I did cut it to measure 3 3/4 inches high. So from the 4-inch side, I cut it to 3 3/4 inches, and then by 3. So I made it a little bit shorter. And then I adhered that to a teal layer that's 3 7/8 by 3 1/8. And then these two heart strips, those are 1 3/4 inches by 4 3/4 inches. So I'm going to add those to that plaid paper that measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So here my sentiment piece is going right in the middle of that card layer. And then I'm going to add some snowflakes and a flower, and then I'll add that to a teal card base. I'm going to add some of the white pops of color to the center of the snowflakes and the flower, and that completes this card. So here are all of the cards that I made using the Feelin Frosty by Simple Stories. Leave me a comment down below and let me know which card was your favorite. Again, all product links will be down in the description as well. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more card tutorials from me, be sure to click that subscribe button. Thanks for watching and have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.